Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to the webinar. I think we can wait a few minutes for more attendees to join and then we can start.
For those who have just joined, we're still kind of giving a couple more minutes for more people to join, and then we'll get started shortly. Thank you.
I think we can start, right? So,
Yes.
perfect. Uh, Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Today, we will be talking about a very unique solution and framework that we'll be discussing about. And it is related to the mainframe modernization, and we'll be demonstrating some of the demo that includes some tools developed by Royal Cyber and also AWS. So let's move forward. In today's agenda, we'll be talking about the mainframe modernization, their workloads, why modernization is required, and while doing modernization, what are the challenges that we normally face. And then we will talk about a new service. It's an agentic AI service, very cool service for the mainframe modernization. And then we'll discuss about the very distinct benefits for using AWS Transform for mainframe modernization. And then we'll do a quick walkthrough of the demo, how AWS Transform works for the mainframe. So this is about the agenda. I'll hand over that the mic to the user. User is our speaker for us. He's the director cloud. And myself, Faisal Usman, I'm working as an alliance lead for the AWS department. And then we have Dinesh Versetti. He's a practice head for the mainframe department at Royal. Over to you, user.
Thanks, Faisal. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining in. As Faisal mentioned in the agenda, we will be talking about mainframe modernization in this webinar using some of the agentic services that AWS is providing, as well as our own framework for migration and modernization. So I'll quickly talk about Royal Cyber, who we represent. We've been a trusted digital transformation partner for various companies for over 2 decades. We have more than 2,000 people who are working across the globe in 10 plus offices worldwide. And we have clientele in North America, Europe, Middle East, Asia Pacific, and Africa. So we are proudly serving more than 600 clients globally, ranging from Fortune 50 enterprises in banking, finance, and retail. And what kind of sets us apart is the breadth of our services, from ID consulting to custom solutions, cloud migration, AI adoption, middleware, and automation. So we combine our technical expertise with the deep industry knowledge to create these measurable, business outcomes. These are some of our clientele. As you can see, some big names over here who we are proud to support and work with on a day-to-day basis. All right, so let's move to the next slide, please. And these are some of our solutions and accelerators that we have built over the years in the domains of AI, middleware, and cloud. We've hosted different webinars on each of these solutions, and you are welcome to check our website for a deep dive on each of these solutions. So I'm going to just take a few moments to talk about the different practices here at Royal Cyber. I represent the cloud practice, and we are an advanced AWS tier services tier partner, which means that we've been working with AWS on different migration projects and related to the cloud, and we have completed over 100 AWS projects across different industries. We have more than 50 AWS certified folks and who are covering different aspects of the cloud, like infrastructure, DevOps, security, and AI. Right. Moving on to the next slide. So why the need for mainframe modernization, right? So mainframes have been powering global businesses for decades, but the environment around them now is changing, right? So today, 60 to 80% of IT budgets are tied up in maintaining legacy systems. So that leaves very little for innovation, right? And at the same time, all these organizations are facing pressure for agility to roll out new digital experiences and features, scaling, and then also integrating with modern cloud-based environments. So mainframes, while they're still powerful, they were not designed for that kind of agility, right? So there's also this challenge of skills, right? So as mainframe experts retire, the pool of talent for COBOL and legacy system experience that continues to shrink as well, right? So that creates both operational risk and higher cost as well. So there are some challenges, right, when you're kind of transforming from your mainframe to more cloud-based environments, right? So these legacy systems are deeply complex, tightly coupled, and which makes changes very difficult, right? Processes are still kind of sequential and labor intensive, which slows down delivery time. And there are lots of monolithic architectures which prevent scalability and modular upgrades. And on top of that, there's like limited collaboration between teams and scarcity of hybrid skills, right? For people who understand both the cloud and the mainframe, for example. So these are just not technical challenges, they also have real business consequences, which result in slow time to market, increasing costs, and they ultimately restrict innovation. So this is why some enterprises struggle to transform despite having a clear vision for change, right? So let's take a look at the enterprise transformation journey. So it's not a single step, right? It's a journey. So at the infrastructure level, you need to migrate from physical mainframes, call centers, legacy data centers to more modern environments like the AWS cloud platform. This includes moving from proprietary operating systems to maybe Linux and other open source technologies. And at the application level, they're modernizing by breaking down monoliths, for example, into microservices, APIs, and refactoring code bases. And at the software level, there's a constant need to keep up with the version updates, SDKs, and security patches. So taken together, these changes free organizations from vendor lock-ins and reducing costs. And then that basically provides the agility to scale services on demand. So let's take a look at how agentic AI now is helping unlocking new possibilities, right? So these large language models can go beyond like simple rule-based transformation, right? They can what used to take like hours and hours to analyze code in a legacy environment can be done in, hours or actually days or months can be now done in minutes, right? These LLMs can go from simple rule-based transformations to basically reasoning about the code, doing discovery, generating documentation that can be easily reviewed by humans to understand the business logic, and that can aid in the migration of runtimes from COBOL to Java, for example, right? And so this results in faster modernization, but also a smarter modernization, right? Where AI basically guides decision making and reduces risk as well, and then ensures that the modernized environment truly supports your business goals. So this is where we want to showcase you the power of the AWS Transform service for mainframe, which can help you discover your mainframe applications, generate documentation, plan how to do the migration from mainframe to maybe a Java based or .NET based environment, which can be completely hosted on AWS. So, and I'd like to call our mainframe practice lead Ganeshwar Sethi to basically walk us through uh, the some of the features of the AWS Transform service, and then he will also show a demo assisted by Faisal to show you how the service works. So over to you, Ganesh.
Hey, thanks, Vijay. Thanks, Kajal. And good morning and good evening, everyone. So AWS Transform is the first agentic AI service, which is for more mainframe modernizing services, which is providing providing a environment where you are automating the code refactor basically, and you are doing the automation for entire process. So the agentic AI. So in that system, you are getting the access to generate your code base, like what are the code, the legacy code base which we are having, like COBOL code, JCL, and PROC, card and so many other uh, legacy code. So those code you extracted, and we are providing that RC solution, which Royal Cyber has a proprietary solution, which is giving a SCM migration tool. So that will provide your extract your code base and then transform it and load it to S3 bucket. And we will show that in the demo. And let's try to understand what after that, after getting the code base, how it will do the automation of the refactor, right? So this automation and transformation process, it will be done by the agentic AI, and which will, in fact, it will reduce your uh, timeline, as well as it will reduce your cost, right? And so if you see here now, the code extraction phase, we extract the code with our legacy SCM migration tool, and then we do assessment by using the AWS environment. Once we get the code base to S3, we do the assessment, and in the assessment phase, the analysis, code complexity, how many number of line of code, and everything we will be getting to know. And all these documentation, the technical documentation and technical specification document, it will give you the detailed documents for each program and each code, right? And then it will also evaluate the business logics and business extract the business rules, right? And while doing the decomposition and web planning, so it will have the code decomposition. Basically, it will segregate the different modules by modules, and also it will create the web planning for you. So for a better planning for the migration. And in automated code refactor phase, so it will refactor your code from COBOL to Java application. So the front end, it will be like, suppose if you have BMS macros and maps, right? The CSS green screens. So those green screens will be converted to uh, uh, equivalent screens in Angular, right? So Angular, Java, and PostgreSQL based refactored code it will be providing in the, and then it will be having the data migration testing, then it will be validation and deployment in the AWS environment. So why will in the next slide we'll see like what is the benefits. Probably you can go to the next slide. User, can you please go to the next slide? Yeah. So here we see what are the benefits of moving to the cloud. So first, number one is cost saving. So to reduce the cost, we can see a very good, like it'll lower the runtime of the cost, and then differently we'll be having uh, pay as you go service, like for the pricing perspective. And agility wise, like we have integrated modernized tool chains. We'll be having so many different tools. We'll be having analytics. We'll be having a lot of uh, agility in the terms of DevOps and creating pipelines. Then in innovation, we will be able to use a lot of AI, ML tools, as well as we can leverage all the big data and analytics, right? And over 200 plus AWS services. All right. So suppose if you want to use multiple databases and from different sources, and we can put those into data lakes, and we can do a lot of analytics. And the resilient side, if we can, it will be highly available. It will be we can get better security and compliances, and we also do automated health monitoring. We can for our applications. Can you please go to the next slide? So this is how RC modernization framework works. Like your legacy code, it sits in the mainframe, and then we move to with our SA migration tool, which is powered by Royal Cyber. So we will be extracting your code to directly to S3 bucket, and from S3 bucket, it will be using the agentic AI based modernization with AWS Transform, and all the code it will be refactored and it will be modernized and deployed to the AWS. Next slide, please. So now Faisal will be providing you the demo. Faisal, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ganesh. Before moving on, let's take a pause here. And I'm also just directing the attendees, our attendees, towards a Q&A. If you have any questions, you can go to the sections. You'll find a Q&A at the top. Put up a question here, and we can also try to answer during the session and also at the end of the session as well. At the same time, while we'll be doing any demos, you are free to, if you have any question, free to ask, and we are happy to answer during the demo as well. So I'll take a pause here, and if you have any question, feel free to ask or write in the Q&A, and then we can move forward towards the demo. All right, perfect. We can continue. Let me change my screen towards the browser. All right, so far we have discussed about there are two parts, right? One is a mainframe modernization, how it is important, and what are the challenges. Second, the role of AWS Transform, which is an agentic AI role, right? And if we talk about how we can utilize it, and at the end of the day, we are talking about moving the application towards the AWS account, right? So while we move towards the AWS account, the role of AWS Transform will make us extremely easy for us to migrate an application towards the AWS from mainframe, right? So this is a look and feel of AWS Transform console. And if you go into the AWS Transform console, you'll get a workspace here, right? In this workspace, you can create multiple workspaces, and you can also share it with other team members as well. You can want to add collaborators, you can add collaborators, you can want to nominate someone as an owner, you can do that. So this is just setting up the console when you sign up for the AWS Transform, right? So next, if we move towards the next part, let's say, as Ganesh mentioned that there are two parts. One is discovery, where we'll be doing analyzing the code. We are doing the technical documentation. And also then we will also be talking about my modernization waves as well. So for that, so this is one of the job here. And here we just need to go over here in the agentic AI and ask the question, uh, please create an environment for us, or create a job that will analyze the code, and that will generate the documentation and also extract the business logic as well, right? So what it will do is that it will simply create the job for us here, and then we will create the job for us here. Then it will move over here. It will create a complete job plane. In this job, we asked them to analyze the code, generate the technical documentation, decompose code, and also plan migration waves as well. Since overall it takes depending upon the lines of code, it takes some few hours to a day to do the complete job. And for that, for example, we have a 40,204 lines of code. And if we go through the work log here, so it started around 10:15 morning. And at the same day, it did all the task by afternoon, near evening, like around 3:48 p.m. So overall, it took us around uh, 5 hours to do the analyzing of the code, generate technical documentation, and also extract business logic as well. So simply, if we go over here, it has analyzed the code, and then it has give us the understanding and the division of the code. Like these are overall, we have 159 files. 54 files are missing per the business logic, right? And then if we ask them to generate the technical documentation, it will then start analyzing the documents, analyzing the code, and start generating the documentation as well. So at the end, it generates a documentation and put it in the S3 bucket. So from S3 bucket, I took a liberty and opened some of the documents like that it has generated. So this is one of the documentation that it has generated. And it is related to the card domo application, right? And it's a comprehensive credit card management system. So in this documentation that is generated by AWS Transform, it gives us the summary of the each file on which this application has been based. And for example, this is one of the application, one of the program that serves as a sign-on interface. Then we have another program that enables the administrators in the Cartom application, and so on, so on. So it generates a complete documentation for us, summarized in a summarized way for each program that has been a part of this application. Right. So a very detailed documentation. And if we talk about the next step of it, which is extract business logic. If we go over here and extract the business logic, it will generate the complete business logic for us. Like this is the application level business specification. It has an account management, it has a card management, financial processing, reference data, and uh, system administration, and so on. So it also has provide us the complete business level specification as well. Next, we want it to decompose into the domains. It does that as well. Since we ask them to do the decompose code as well. So it decompose the code into the multiple domains, right? And then at the end, since we asked to do the migration waves as well, so it will create the migration waves as well. So if we go here into the chart view, so this is how the recommendation is that the first we will move the common components, which are the 29 files, then we'll go with the transactions, then accounts, and unassigned and operator will go in parallel waves, and then we'll go with the disconnected part. So all in all, when we talk about the discovery, when we talk about the technical documentation of the existing legacy mainframe application, and then before designing the migration wave, the whole assessment activity. If we talk about, let's say here, it's a 40,000 line of code application. It took around 5 or so hours to do the complete discovery, right? So this is a very high level business layer, how it works and how it can ramp up the complete discovery phase. Now if we think about, this is not the 40,000 line of code, it's a 2 million lines of code, it's a 5 million lines of code. We can scale it up. So here we're talking about hours. It can go maximum into a day, 2 days, 3 days, maybe a week, or maybe a 2 week, depending on the size of the application. But at the end of the day, we are talking about hours, we are talking about days, but we are not talking about years. And still we're discussing about the failure factors for that. Here we are talking about the major heavy lifting that AWS Transform is going to do for our legacy mainframe application. So this is one part where we do, it can do analyze code, it can do technical documentation, generate the documentation for us, it will decompose the code, generate a migration base for us and extract business logic. Again, I will take a pause here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Anything related to AWS Transform, mainframe, any more technical or more business perspective, we'll happy to answer. And then I'll move towards the second use case for this AWS Transform. Okay, so we move forward towards the next job. We can create as many jobs as we can. Since this job takes around hours, so we have already created a job for you. And here we simply asked it to transform the code to the Java. Again, how we have asked it, it has a kind of a chat interface, just like ChatGPT, Amazon Q, and we're just going to ask it to create a job for us, which will do the transformation code into Java, right? And now we analyze this part, how it has does this, the same application, which has a 40,000 odd line of code. Again, we will have the connections available. Then it will first analyze the code, the same code that it analyzed it before, and then it will start doing the refactoring, which is the main part here, the migration part. It's not migration, in fact, modernization. It is converting the legacy mainframe code, COBOL code, into the Java code as well. So it will do the custom configuration here, will provide the configuration like what is the engine version, will provide the project name, root package, what is the target database, and so on. And then this part is completed around 15:36, which is in the afternoon. And then it started doing the results, and then it generated the complete code base here and present down added the complete transformed refactored code into the S3 bucket. And if we talk about how much time did it take to refactoring the code, before we analyzing the time here for a 40,000 line of code, if we are doing the manual, let's exclude the AWS Transform for the time being. So the SMEs for the mainframe, they would be doing the complete refactoring manually. They'll be transferring the code into the Java, and they would take months to do the refactoring, even for the 40,000 lines of code. And then if we talk about the transform, it starts around 6:51 in the evening and 18:51, and then it moves towards the next day, which is around 15:37, which is around 3:37 p.m. Almost a day to do the complete transformation code. So what it does in post transformation, your backend services are in Java, your front-end application is in Angular, and your database can either be in Postgres, hosted in RDS, or in S3 bucket, or in Aurora, or in DynamoDB as well. So depending upon the data type of the application, you have all the options available in the AWS. So now we have the transformed application. What next? The next step is to do the deployment part. And when we talk about AWS, it gets more easy here. AWS has a complete stack available and all the services available that supports the main hosting of the mainframe application on the AWS. So for Royal Cyber has an extensive experience and knowledge of these services. We are completely our expert will come into the environment, will generate the environment, set up the application, and then make it running in your environments as well. So post transformation hosted in the AWS, you'll get to see the same application which was running on your legacy environment, right? So this is about the application. If I just run it here, maybe CCO. So I'm sorry, I put it at wrong transaction here. Let me go back here. Let me copy paste it from here. Like it's an application modernization. I will open that. So this is a DNS Postgres, right? So we are simply going to put it here, and then we will have a port. And then, so if we type CCLI, so it will just open up here. So we have the different account numbers. We can simply type it, get the details of it. So now this application, it's a look and feel of the same mainframe application, but now this is completely on AngularJS. And its backend services not on COBOL, it's on the Java. So runtime is Java. So this is end-to-end modernization using AWS Transform to do the analyzing, to do the technical documentation, to do the planning waves for the modernization, and then transformation and deployment. So this is about it. And one part that is where role server tool comes in, which is bringing the code from mainframe into the AWS. So we have a dedicated tool as mentioned by Ganeshwar. It will take only a few minutes to fetch the code from the existing environment and put it into the S3 bucket. And then it's on AWS Transform and our expertise that will help you get your application modernized with the software updates and then being hosted on the AWS. So that is all about the demo. And any questions? So just moving forward, for us, we have different offerings available, but just starting with, we have a very dedicated exclusive offer, complimentary discovery phase. If you have a mainframe application, you are looking to modernize it, or you are talking about it or exploring it, or if you have an immediate business requirement to do the modernization. Raw server is just a message away, just a heads up away. Will be at your pool and help you with the discovery phase, and gives you a better business case to that will help you make the right decision for the modernization. So to get to do and to help you get this phase easily and smoothly, we're offering a complimentary discovery phase upfront. And please reach out to us if you have any questions, any query, or if you're thinking about it, you're still not really sure that you want to do it or not. Try to, I think, just try it out with the discovery phase. And it will give you a way more insights about your application and how it's going to work much better in the cloud environment, and what are the new evidence that are going to be unlocked. So this is yes, please. I will have user Ganesh for anything to add, and we have some attendees as well. Anything you have, please feel free to ask again.
Yeah, I would just reiterate that this is a great way, a complementary way to do some, discovery and assessment of your environment by our experts to get a clear picture on how a sample modernization effort might look like for your applications. But yeah, I think that's all we had today. If there's no questions, we'd like to wrap it up and thank all of you for joining. Have a great evening.
Thank you all for joining.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.